Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of The Untold. It's, of course, a very culinary edition of The Untold. Today, we have Haider Cooks, who's gaining remarkable momentum on social media accounts through his cooking, through his lively personality, through his very enjoyable videos. I'm sure we are going to be having a very fun conversation as we talk to him. Until we see with him after the break, stay tuned. And of course, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, here on The Untold with a very culinary episode of The Untold. Thank you, Haider, for joining us here to talk us about your cooking skills.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the idea behind your social media account, it's a
Yeah,
very fun account,
yeah.
it's a very lively account. How did it all come along?
Well, it all came along when my grandma, my mom, they used to cook and they used to cook for us really amazing and good dishes. So, I decided why not try it because even when I was small, I used to actually cook some meals. They were really simple, not that hard, not that stressful. So then I was like, why not start my own channel, you know? So then all my recipes could be shared to more people.
It is, and I think that's a very fun approach to cooking.
Thank you.
So just start,
Yeah.
because it can feel simple at first, but then as you get along, and mashallah, your account has a lot of complex recipes now. I'm sure they are extremely delicious.
Yeah.
So can you remember the first video you made?
I think it was cheesy onion rings. Yeah. But it's not the best video I've made, but it was my first. So even if it was bad, I was just starting out and trying new things.
And how was the experience of, making, cooking on itself is a great experience, but now to actually try and film all of it.
Well, basically, without the camera when I'm cooking for family members and stuff like that, it's really easy. You don't need to take the camera and three, two, one. It's faster, more easier because there's not a lot of stress, as camera, in front of you. But yeah, when you get used to it, it'll just be better and it will be like it's nothing.
It is. And so, mashallah,
Yeah.
you've got a lot of momentum. But at first, when did you realize that people are interested in looking at your videos, interacting with your videos, commenting on them, liking them and everything?
So basically, progress, sometimes it doesn't appear on your first videos or your first video. So what happens is that it will sometimes show in your second, third, fourth video. You just have to give it time. So when it actually shows progress, you know that you're actually good when lots of famous people comment, lots of good chefs commenting. It doesn't even have to be a famous person commenting and liking your videos. It can be an ordinary person saying bravo, well done, keep going. That's what pushes you forward. That's what makes you that's what makes you continue.
It is, and I think, the power of the good
Yeah.
word has a lot of meaning to a lot
Yeah.
of people. Now, when it comes to your videos, mashallah, they're very energetic, they're very
Thank you.
lively, they have very unique, editing style. So who does, help you behind the cameras, your team, let's say?
Yeah, so basically what happens is that, first of all, I had a camera stand, so then I can just put the camera, film while I'm cooking without anyone's help. But sadly it broke, so now my parents, they're recording for me. And for editing, it's my dad, and sometimes it's me, because before I used to edit too, actually. So yeah,
It is, and your dad and I are close friends, and your
yeah,
dad is he's an amazing
yeah,
editor, right? And he's an amazing,
exactly.
director as well. Now, when it comes to working with your parents,
Mm.
I'm sure, it can bring a lot of, I would say, they are mostly parents, but you're the star of the show.
Yeah.
So do you feel like now you have a little bit more power?
No, of course not. And then, they're my parents and stuff.
No, but I mean like in terms of, where you stand, where you shoot, how you cook, the amount of things you say,
Yeah.
how you conduct yourself in front of the cameras and everything.
So also basically I'm in an English school, NES. So sometimes I don't know how to speak English proper. I mean Arabic, sorry. I don't know how to speak Arabic properly sometimes. So I need my mom and dad for help sometimes. I ask them, Mom, Dad, please come. I need you to tell me how to say this. For example, flower. How do I say flower in Arabic? Of course, everyone knows it, but it's word. So my parents help me for filming, editing, and basically, talking. They basically help me with everything.
And mashallah, Allah yahfadhum. But do you sometimes, feel like you have some disagreement with them in how a video should look like?
Of course, that happens a lot, maybe often, because you have to go through that phase because sometimes you want your video to look more different, or sometimes you have for example, I have a lot of recipes that I ask them to if I can make. They're really special and they're in my own style. So I ask them, can I do this? Can I not? They say sometimes no, you can't because it just will go wrong, It's not a good idea maybe. And sometimes I actually agree because when I think about it, it's actually sometimes bad or wrong.
It is. And I think that's a very, healthy kind of approach to it, right? Because now, mashallah, you're the star of the show. You have your own, enjoyable, cheerful attitude about you, your videos and everything. So your input now is as much important as your parents' input.
Exactly.
And I'm sure your father is going to be angry at me when he sees this. But now you're the star of the show.
Yeah.
We're all here to be your guest. For a lot of the audiences, they see 1 minute video or even shorter than that. But can you tell us about, the amount of effort and work that goes behind all of this?
Yeah, okay. For example, if we're baking cake, what happens is that you have to put it in the oven. That's normal logical sense. But sometimes it's cake that you need to put it in the freezer. Okay, so when you put it in the oven, it actually takes a lot of time. For example, maybe an hour, 30 minutes. So it just takes effort and time. For example, when you guys see 1 minute videos, you might think it took us 10 minutes, 5 minutes, but actually no, sometimes it can last up to 30 minutes to 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, mashallah.
It depends on if I'm using oven, air fryer, cooking pan,
It is. And I think, that's what a lot of people don't understand. Even about the shows we make here. Sometimes they see a show for 10 minutes and we're actually spending an hour, 2 hours making that TV show.
Because I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, but because even before, I think a lot of people know I've been here in Clackett, KTV 2, in this same place. So what happened is that here, when I was filming, I did have a lot of freedom, can't move around, I can't move around and stuff. So it isn't freedom, but when you're actually cooking at home, okay, and you're not using a lot of time, and you're doing something you actually that's freedom,
And also, when it comes to freedom, the point here is because we are guided by the position of the lights and everything. So if I move just maybe a few meters or a few centimeters away from here, the light is going to be different and everything.
Exactly.
But we are going to take a very quick break, ladies and gentlemen, but stay tuned after the break. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Haider Cooks.
Thank you.
Now it's going to be your official title, right? So when it comes to cooking and I'd say technique behind cooking and filming at the same time.
Yeah.
We mentioned before that a lot of people might not realize that sometimes it takes 2 or 3 hours for you to just make this one short movies.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, about the kind of equipment that goes into making these movies? Are there lights? Are there a lot of cameras? A lot of, how the way you walk and how the way you look at the cameras, a lot of directions?
Yeah, so really, we don't have a lot of equipment, it's just basic stuff. We have one big light, okay, that gives it really good lighting for the videos, and we don't use a professional camera, and in my opinion, that's actually good, you have comfort, you can pick the settings for the camera and stuff like that. Yeah,
it is. And mashallah, Today's cameras are so great.
Yeah.
They are using them to make entire movies.
Exactly.
They are way better than the cameras we have here in
Exactly.
in the studio. Now, when it comes to a lot of dishes, because mashallah, so many dishes are out there, so
Yeah.
many options, so many choices. How can you, or how do you make the choice to say, oh, I think this dish looks great for making a video about it?
Yeah. So basically, I pick like my dishes. Like, I only make my dishes if they're good dishes. Like, if it's a failed attempt, like I just don't upload it because I know people will not like this content. I know like they will just scroll past it or maybe not even like, as I said. So yeah, that's what I do.
It is, and mashallah, honestly, for the viewers, what you do is really, my account is all cooking accounts and
Yeah.
music accounts, and your videos, honestly, not as this is not just because I know your father. Well,
Yeah.
your videos are so enjoyable to watch. So to see so much care and attention goes into even selecting, these dishes is always a great thing to hear. And now, when it comes to dishes and cuisines and a lot of these things, they come from so many different countries,
Yeah.
so many different, cultures, so many different regions. Do you have a country that with a dish that you want to make, you want to make a movie about?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I love all cuisines. There's no favorite. I cannot prefer which country has the best cuisine, of course. Each place is like its own world of, dishes, cooks. So, like, I really can't. But, as I said, I love all cuisines.
It is. Now that's a very diplomatic, answer because for me myself, I can say Indian cuisine is the best
Yeah.
cuisine. There's nobody that's close to Indian cuisine.
Like, I know a lot of people that love Indian cuisine, but like the truth is that some people don't know is that, like, as me, I did not know this before, but like, basically before, like in the old times, like what used to happen is that all the fishermen and, like people that used to dive and used to get all the pearls and stuff, they used to go to India to get, different spices because India has the best spices, but I'm not saying it has the best, like, food. It is, but like it's not the best food. So like, but they give their spices to like, around the world. So like you can see that all places in the world, they'll probably use a little bit of Indian spice.
It is. And mashallah, for so many years before airplanes and everything, ships all over the world were just moving around the world to
And they
move.
used to carry spices.
Yes, to move spices from India to there. And Indian cuisine now is famous for its spicy food. And a lot of people who say they might not like Indian food is because there's a lot of spices.
Yeah.
But honestly, even the non-spicy things, I'm going way on too much of a side rant about how delicious Indian food is. But honestly, even Italian cuisine is, amazing
Yeah.
with pastas, with pizzas, with
All
everything.
kinds of pastas. You got penne pasta, you got so much, but like my favorite, penne pasta.
It is. So can I ask you about your favorite foods?
Yeah, well, my favorite food is, anything chicken. I really don't like meat except if it's like, steak and mashed potatoes. That's the only meat dish I love. But like aside from that, everything I love is chicken based. And if it isn't chicken, sometimes it can be a salad. My favorite salad is the Thai salad.
Oh, mashallah. Honestly, for some reason, I as well enjoy chicken tremendously. I know a lot of people, they like meat more than chicken because chicken comes in just one simple flavor, and meat, there's like, all
Yeah,
kinds of
different.
cuts, all kinds of different, fat factor and everything. But chicken, honestly, is so delicious to me.
Chicken, you have like crispy chicken, juicy chicken, fried chicken, grilled chicken,
It is, honestly, yeah, the options are endless.
Exactly.
Now, on the topic of countries, also, outside of the cuisines,
Yeah.
is there a specific country you'd like to shoot videos in while you're cooking there?
I would really like to go to, where would I like to go? China? China.
China's amazing.
Noodles, you got all kinds of chicken, you got sweet, sour chicken.
Orange chicken.
Yeah, you got all
Delicious.
kinds, like.
It is.
Kung Pao
and we've heard
chicken.
Kung Pao from there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Honestly, Chinese cuisine, Asian cuisine in general is
exactly.
tremendously delicious.
And all of their dishes, like mashallah, like you can eat a bowl of rice without anything. Like it's just because rice, it gives it a really good taste. Like it gives it a chewy because their rice is steamed.
Yes. And honestly, you've brought a great point, is because a lot of people here in Kuwait, when they don't know a lot of things about diet, they say stay away from rice.
Yeah.
But that's only because in Kuwait we cook it with a lot of a lot
Oil.
of oil, fat, a lot of maraq, which I'm forgetting the word in
Yeah.
English. But there, like you said, it's steamed rice, and then they put with it the juices of the chicken or the meat, and then it just becomes so much delicious. And now, when it comes to, you yourself, so I think viewers of KTV might know you from a few years back. They're gonna
Yeah.
say, "Oh, mashallah, he's grown up now. He has
Yeah.
his own channel, everything." So, excuse me, can you tell us more about, the side of you that was here as a presenter here with us on KTV too?
So basically, before I used to be here, Clacket. I used to be on kids show. I forgot the name actually. I've been on 2 different kids shows, with other friends and people with me. Okay, and basically, I left that a long time ago. But now I'm back, but on social media. You know what I'm saying? And it's cooking. It's not kids TV shows.
It is, and we are gonna dive way more into that, but just after this break.
Okay.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here with Haider Cooks. Now, speaking about cooking, cooking has so many methods, has so many techniques, has so many, I would say lessons. So, what has your approach, or how did you get into cooking and learn the process and started doing all of things?
Basically, as I told you, my grandma and, mom, they used to cook for us really amazing really amazing dishes. So that's what inspired me to do what they're doing online. And also one thing people noticed about me is that I really don't use measurements for paprika and stuff like that, for all spices and powders. So I just put as much as I see.
It is. And mashallah, it's very, I would say, encouraging to know that about you, because
Yeah.
sometimes cooking is all about feeling. Because I remember when I was studying outside, every time I tried to cook something, they say, one tea size or whatever, one
Teaspoon. Yeah.
teaspoon of this, 1 tablespoon of that, 1 cup, 1/2 cup, and I was like, this is so confusing.
Yeah. Just
So
put your own. That's it.
just put your own flavor into it. And then when it comes to you personally, I got news that you recently made a trip in the Middle East. So can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Okay. So basically, we're in summer holiday. I do nothing except, game and cook videos for my viewers. So what I decided to do, me and my parents, my family, we basically decided, to make a Middle Eastern, trip. So then I can, meet lots and lots of famous chefs and cook with them and, get ideas from them. Know all the secret cooking, methods. Okay, so I've met a lot of chefs. They all helped me. We cooked together, and it was really, really, really fun meeting them. All different kinds of cuisines I've cooked with them.
Yeah, mashallah, and hopefully, or thankfully, we are gonna see all of that in your accounts.
Yeah.
Honestly, this goes back to the viewers again. Do check his accounts, Haider Cooks. It's an amazing account. It's very lovely. I think And I'm not talking about this because I've seen you through the years, right? And I know your father on a personal level. But mashallah, you have a very lovely personality in front of
Thank
the
you.
cameras.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sure that the audience can see that.
Thank you. Also, to add about what I said, basically, not only the chefs, there's also restaurants, people like asked me to go and try food from. And basically, I'm not gonna lie to you, all restaurants I've went to were like very yummy. I've went all the way to breakfast restaurants, lunch restaurants, dinner restaurants, brunch restaurants, all kinds of restaurants. And my trip, okay, I'll tell you all the countries and like what they have special to them. Basically, Bahrain, like their best dishes are like the hamsas, which are the morning platters. Qatar, their lunch is really yummy and really, different and flavorful. Like they have stuff all the way from rice, lamb, chicken, shrimp, but my favorite thing was the chicken rice.
Oh, mashallah. You're saying all of these things, and I do want to tell you, if sometimes you find yourself too busy to go to these invitations, you can send me in your place. I can just
Okay.
shave my beard. I'll tell them
Okay.
I'm Haider. Now, Haider, we did discuss previously, your role here presenting shows with us here on KTV too. So is going back to TV, going back to television within your future plans?
Really, I am really grateful for the opportunity, KTV2 gave me, because in the end, it's actually my start. KTV2 was my start, and I'll never forget that. Also, from your question, like, if I had the opportunity to, I would really like to be, a Hollywood star when I grow up. That is my number one dream for when I grow up.
I mean, hopefully we can see that because we've
Yeah.
seen many, mashallah, Arabic people who are into Hollywood now, who are famous actors. Now, when it comes to our final question, you're, mashallah, the youngest guest we've had on The Untold, and I'm sure your message can go and resonate and be better heard with a lot of people, viewers of your age group. So, can you tell us something, or what would you say to those people watching, especially who are in your age, who are the future of this, country and the generation?
Yeah. So my answer to that is, follow your dreams, do your hobbies, never forget your parents. They are probably gonna push you, or they probably did push you. If you're scared of swimming, but you like swimming, don't ever give up, keep training and stuff like that. And never forget Allah, never forget God, and pray to Him.
It is, alhamdulillah, we can be thankful for a lot of things. Like you said, always listen to your parents, always follow your true heart, your true intentions, but keeping their support in mind. And honestly, your parents are amazing. The
Thank you.
support they gave you makes us all feel happy because we've known you through the years. I'm personally happy. I'm sure everyone here who has stayed to listen to your story is happy. The audience is, I'm sure, happy. We're very happy to have you, Haider,
Thank
cook
you.
here with us. So thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you. And dear viewers, of course, thank you as well for staying tuned with our conversation with Haider. We are going to take a break, but stay tuned after the break. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've had an amazing time with Haider Cooks through this episode. Honestly, he's a very enjoyable personality. It shows through the camera, mashallah. He has a very certain charisma and presence to him. We've seen him grow through the years here at KTV2. He's been with us, presenting TV shows for so many years. So to finally see him find his place, find his audience, find his voice is honestly so happy for us. We're proud of him. We hope you had a very tremendous episode with him, but unfortunately, that's all the time for today's episode of The Untold. And until the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, goodbye for now.